Shannon, go ahead.
Thank you, Vedant. The House Foreign Affairs Committee's latest report on Afghanistan and the withdrawal says that droves of classified material were left at the U.S. Embassy in Kabul. The State Department responded by saying it's standard operating procedure to reduce the amount of sensitive material that remains, and that Embassy Kabul's drawdown was conducted in accordance with standard operating procedures, but doesn't clearly answer whether classified material was left behind. Can you say if it was and how much?
So I certainly would not get into something like that from up here, but can say confidently that the drawdown in at Mission Kabul was conducted not just by the book, but appropriately, consistent with the standards and the protocols that are in place for appropriate drawdowns and NEOs. And since you've opened up the question, Shannon, if you'll allow me, there's a lot of you that have interest today in Chairman McCall's report. So I just want to say we should be very clear about something, which is that when President Biden took office, he was faced with a choice: ramp up the war in Afghanistan and put more American troops at risk, or finally end our involvement in America's longest war after 2 decades of American presidents sending troops to fight and die in Afghanistan. We are stronger today because of this decision that President Biden made. The one that he made was the right one. And it's also important to understand that this exercise that the House majority is undertaking is about scoring political points. This investigation had the potential to truly be bipartisan and produce real legislative proposals to better prepare the United States for future presidents and for future parties, for future challenges. Instead, the majority chose to seek scandal over substance, and this quote-unquote investigation seems to not actually have uncovered anything new, and instead is a collection of cherry-picked comments from various transcribed interviews and interviews designed to paint an inaccurate picture of this administration's efforts. This exercise is it's a disservice to Afghanistan policy and a disservice to the lens that we try to look at the region through by turning it into a hyper-partisan debate.
So just, can I follow up quickly?
Yeah,
It's just so I'm clear, the State Department's position is you can't say publicly yes or no whether.
I just wouldn't get into
documents
those
were left.
kinds of operational specifics when it comes to how we draw down our presence at any diplomatic post. But what I can say is that the drawdown in Kabul was conducted in a manner which is consistent with our departments and our country's standards and protocols when faced in those circumstances.
And lastly, just do you have a figure on how many Americans still in Afghanistan that the State Department is in contact with right now?
I'm happy to check. I don't have a number at my fingertips, but I'm happy to check and get back to you. But let me just say, Shannon, since you've asked the question on our efforts in Afghanistan, we are issuing, I know your question was about Americans, but let me just say, as it relates to our broader resettlement efforts, we are issuing SIVs to our Afghan partners in record rates. In fiscal year 23, we issued more than 18,000 Afghan SIVs, the most in a single year, and in this fiscal year, we've already surpassed that figure. And as a reminder, when the president took office, the State Department inherited a backlog of more than 17,000 SIV applicants. Kylie, we'll get to everybody.
Given that the Republicans' report is out today, I think it's worth asking you guys questions about your own after-action report that was done more than a year ago now. I'm just wondering if you have updates for us as to the recommendations that were made in that report and which of those recommendations have actually gone into effect.
So, Kylie, for operational specifics, I'm not going to get into some of the specific recommendations that have been made, but I can say,
unclassified report.
I understand. I'm happy to see if we have more specifics for you, but on some of the preparedness aspects and the aspects involving American citizens, I know that we have been able to successfully implement those in previous iterations, in circumstances in Ukraine, in Sudan, in Ethiopia, but I'm happy to check if we've got a more exhaustive list of where some of these actions are in true effect.
Yeah, if you could just update us as to if any of those recommendations have been implemented.
Sure.
I think
I can say certainly that a number of them have been implemented, particularly when it comes to the planning for crises, when it comes to the planning for crises as it relates to coordination between the department here and folks at the field. There have been a number of steps that have been taken in relation to how we handle American citizens who are not under Chief of Mission Authority. So there are a number of steps that I know that we have seen come to light in some other parts of the world, but I'm happy to see if we've got a more specific litany for you.